NXT Halloween Havoc has officially just wrapped out. I'm going to be going over every single match in the card. This is my official review. I'm just going to go ahead and jump straight into it. The first match we start off is for the NXT North American Championship between Oba Femi, Tony D'Angelo. It immediately starts off with Tony D'Angelo immediately attacking Oba Femi, going to the outside, and then immediately hitting a spear straight through the barricade. Tony D'Angelo immediately just immediately going fully at Obafemi, not showing any resistance at all. Soon after, though, Obafemi does end up overpowering Tony D'Angelo, and then there was playing the story of can Tony D'Angelo overcome Obafemi without his family, telling the story of Obafemi being the overpowering, more dominant force, and Tony D'Angelo had to overcome that. I think later in the match, it gets to the point where Obafemi he ends up zip tying Tony D'Angelo's hands again, doing what he did last week on NXT. Then the family ends up coming out, but Obafemi ends up demolishing the family, completely destroys them. Then it's Adriana Rizzo. Adriana Rizzo is in the ring, and Obafemi is following her. Adriana Rizzo keeps like slowly walking back, stepping away from Oba, but Oba keeps following. But then eventually, Tony D'Angelo, before that, it gets to a moment where they're on the ring apron. Adrian Rizzo is on the ring apron. Obafemi's on the ring apron. Tony D'Angelo eventually gets out of it, and then he ends up coming around, ends up hitting a spear through the ropes onto a ladder. Then soon after, I think he tries to hurry up and attack Obafemi. He ends up throwing him through the ropes, but Obafemi ends up clotheslining him, hitting him with a pop-up powerbomb. Right there, I thought it was over, but then Tony D'Angelo kicks out. Then after that, I think it just became a 4v1 because it was a table, ladders, and scares match. So it was basically no disqualification. The family just jumped Obafemi towards the end, and that's how Tony D'Angelo ends up retaining the North American Championship. I will say, the ending was a bit anticlimactic. I didn't like the ending, but it makes sense from a logical standpoint, and it makes sense. They want payback because Obafemi did attack them, did try to hurt them, so it makes sense for them to all to get the revenge. I enjoyed this. I will say, I am very interested to see where Obafemi goes from here, because from a logical standpoint, the story technically should be over. And I don't know what else you could have Obafemi do due to his dominance. It's like, are you going to have him try to fight back? Or are you going to have him go to the main event scene? But the problem is, I think Trick Williams is going to hold that title for a bit. At least a couple months. At least like 4 to 5 months. So it's like, I don't really know where Obafemi goes from here. But overall, this was a really solid match. I do like their first match more, but overall, this was a really fun, entertaining match. Now we end up getting the tag team match between Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade versus Stephanie McCurry and Julia. Not gonna really speak too much of this match. I will say this. From an in-ring perspective, it was really good, but it was a solid match overall. The main story, well, the main objective of this match was really just to showcase Stephanie Valkyrie. That's what they really wanted to do with this match, which they completed the goal. Stephanie was very crisp in the ring. She was amazing in the ring, which we already knew, but she was really good in this match. So was Julia. But this match was basically just to showcase Stephanie and Julia. Stephanie Valkyrie ended up getting the pin, if I'm not mistaken. So it's very interesting to see how they play the story of eventually taking the title off Roxanne Perez. So, but yeah, Stephanie Valkyrie and Julia ends up picking up the victory. Don't really have much to say about this match, but it was an overall solid match. But then after the match, Zarya ended up making another appearance, staring all the women down. She was like, I think she was somewhere in the crowd area. And she ended up, just staring the women down, making another appearance, teasing us with Zarya to see who will be her next, who she'll be going after, whether it's the main event title or the NXT North American Women's title, which we end up finding out, later in the show. The next match we ended up getting was Ridge Holland versus Andre Chase in an ambulance match, which was a really good match. I really enjoyed this match. I think this is actually my first ambulance match I have ever watched, so it was very interesting to see how this match played out. I enjoyed it. It was very wild, very chaotic, exactly what it needed to be for a very personal feud that this was. I really enjoyed this, and it had the right winner. Ridge Holland did end up picking up the victory, which I think was the right winner, because I just didn't see no reason for Andre Chase to win. I understand the babyface story with it, but I think it makes sense only for Ridge Holland to pick up the victory. This is great. They had some really cool moments. They ended up recreating the moment of Andre Chase ended up hitting I think a DDT on an announce table similar to what Ridge Holland did to him a few weeks back. And then it was one spot where they ended up removing the concrete off the ground, and they're doing like a I don't know what it's called. I really gotta learn that move. I don't know what it's called when basically when the wrestler has a power bomb, but they end up reversing it by flipping them over. They end up hitting that on the concrete. I know that had to hurt because hitting that on the concrete is, I know that has to be painful. But overall, this was a really fun, really good match. I enjoyed this match overall. Later in the show, we end up figuring out what ended up happening, what's going to happen with Red Charlotte. But overall, I enjoyed this match. This was a really fun match. Now we get the Women's North American Championship match between Kalani Jordan, JC Jane, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix. Before the match started, we didn't know what the stipulation was, and the women chose a gauntlet match. Basically, Kalani Jordan has to beat all three women to retain her title. Okay, so we already knew how this match was probably going to play out, mainly towards the end. She ended up beating JC Jane and Jasmine Nix. Fine, cool. We get towards the end, though. Towards the end of the match, it's Fallon Henley and Kalani Jordan. Mind you, she already had 2 matches. She's in her 3rd match. We're getting towards the end of the match, and then you're telling me that in order for Fallon Henley to win, she needed 2 interferences, mind you. 2 interferences in order to pick up the victory. Because Fallon Henley does end up winning, but you're telling me that not only was it a gauntlet match, that's 1. So she had to fight 3 matches. Kalani had to face 3 matches. That's 1. Then she had 2 interferences with JC Jane and Jasmine Nix interfering. And then before Fallon Henley even got in the ring to face her, JC Jane ended up attacking her. So that was another advantage. Look, I don't know what Shawn Michaels sees in Kalani. I don't know if she has blackmail, whatever it is. There's no way you like her this much to protect her this heavily. Look, I'm shocked that they even won the match, to be honest with you. Because I thought that Kalani was going to win. And the way they're booking her, it makes sense for her to win. Because why? Look, I understand protecting wrestlers. I get it. But you're telling me she needed that much protection? She already has the protection of the match stipulation. That's her protection right there. Her getting 3v1 is her protection. All she has to do is come out and say, look, I had to face 3 matches. I had to fight 3 matches in one night. That's her excuse. But no, you get her 3 matches in one night, and we get 2 interferences and the JC Jane interaction before Fallon Henley got in. Like, come on. I'm happy that Fallon Henley got the victory, but are we serious right now? Like, did she really need all of that to protect her? But nonetheless, I'm going to stop ranting about this. Now, my biggest fear is what happens after the match. Because after the match, Fallon Henley was about to cut a promo, but then the lights cut off, and then Zarya ends up appearing behind all 3 women, taking them out. Now, I predicted, well, most people assumed that Zarya was going to be in the North American Championship title picture, which I'm happy about, but I'm also kind of upset because the way that Fatal Influence won the match tells me everything. It tells me that either Zarya is going to immediately beat them, or Kalani is going to get that title back. Now, I'm assuming Zarya will probably get the title, but I'm hoping that they're doing what they're doing with Roxanne and Stephanie and Julia. Do something similar to that, where they're chasing the title. Because part of me feels like they're just going to pull the trigger and just give her the title, because Fatal Influence is just built too weak. And I understand that they're heels, but they're built so badly as heels. Like, there's no reason that you have a 3-on-1 advantage and you still need to cheat. Like that's where it gets too extreme from it. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to let it play out. Maybe I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm not asking for much. I never expect them to have a long reign. I'm just asking for like a 3-month reign. That's it. 3-month reign and they look competent. I'm not saying they got to be a dominant faction. Just make them look competent instead of look like morons. Like, that's all I'm asking for. But we'll see how this plays out. Hopefully they don't look more like idiots than they already are. But hopefully I'm wrong. I will see how this plays out. Now we end up getting the main event. Ethan Page versus Trick Williams for the NXT title and a Devil's Playground match. This match was very fun. Basically, the story they was telling was basically, can Trick Williams get that devil, that more evil side of him like Ethan Page? This was really good. I love the story they tell. They had some very cool spots, and I love Ethan Page's match. Ethan Page did everything he was planning on doing, which was basically destroying Trick Williams. It was some brutal spot. It was one spot where he slammed like the lower part of Trick Williams' back on the steel steps. It was towards the end of the match, Ethan Page kept on trying to smash Trick Williams' head with the steel steps. I think he actually ended up hitting like a Eagle's Edge on that announce table, which was a very cool spot as well. This was very good. But towards the end of the match, Ethan Page ends up hitting a low blow. He tries to go for another attack. Yeah, he tries to go for steel steps, trying to smash Trick Williams' head in. But then Trick Williams ends up going to low blow, going towards that more darker side. Then towards the end of the match, I think he ends up hitting a trick shot, retaining his NXT Championship. This was really good. I enjoyed this match. This is actually their best match in terms of one-on-one. Their best match is that fatal four-way match at Heatwave. But in terms of one-on-one, this is definitely their best match. After the match, though, Ridge Holland comes out, attacks Ethan Page, attacks Trick Williams by mistake. Then Ethan Page ends up trying to attack Trick Williams, but then Bubba Ray Dudley comes out, ends up making the save. Now, during the show, Bubba Ray and Ridge Holland was having a back and forth constantly throughout the show, so it makes sense to a degree. But I was still kind of confused, but then I realized that I think very soon they're going to be in the ECW arena. It makes perfect sense now that Bubba Ray, of course, ECW legend, he's going to be there. They're probably going to have a tag team match, which is going to lead to that where Ethan Page and Ridge versus Trick Williams and Bubba Ray and that ECW arena. Makes perfect sense. Overall, this was a really good show. I enjoyed it. You guys let me know your prediction. Let me know what your predictions right or wrong. Let me know what you guys thought of the show. But yeah, that's all right. Like I say, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.